Hey everyone, the Daredevil Born Again season finale just dropped, and wow, they answered a lot of big questions. We finally find out how Vanessa manipulated Poindexter into killing Foggy, and more importantly, why. The truth behind Foggy's murder is darker than we expected, and Fisk's endgame, that shady Red Hook port plan, it all comes together in this episode. Political power plays, emotional betrayals, secret prisons, and one hell of a mid-credit twist. This is the rise of Fisk, and maybe the rise of something bigger. Let's break it all down. Straight to Hell opened with a flashback to 1 year ago, where we saw Vanessa Fisk deliver to Poindexter the news that he was being released, with the implied proviso that he use his particular set of skills help her out with a situation involving a thief and his lawyer, Foggy Nelson. This scene sets the emotional and narrative tone for the rest of the episode, grim, mysterious, and driven by past sins. It gives viewers a critical piece of the puzzle behind Foggy Nelson's death. Matt had always believed Foggy's murder wasn't random. This flashback confirms that. It was a targeted move, orchestrated by Vanessa, likely because Foggy had discovered something dangerous. Maybe about her, maybe about the organization, or maybe about the thief she mentioned. It also foreshadows the chaos to come. If Vanessa was willing to unleash Poindexter, a dangerously unstable killer, then whatever she's protecting is bigger than anyone realized. Cut to the present, where Matt is in the hospital recovering from the gunshot he sustained, saving Mayor Fisk's life. Hopped up on painkillers, Matt calls out for Karen, oops, while Heather is at his bedside. He then waves over Kirsten to begin debriefing her on the Vanessa and Foggy and the motion he was going to file to dismiss situation, but his law firm partner isn't hearing it. Heather excuses herself with a kiss to Matt's cheek, after which Kirsten warns him that they need to have a long talk on the other side of this. This moment is layered with emotional fallout. Matt, in typical Daredevil fashion, tries to compartmentalize pain by focusing on the mission, but his personal life is crumbling in real time. His slip-up with Karen's name isn't just a moment of drug confusion, it's a crack in the facade. It shows he's still haunted by her absence, and it hits Heather like a quiet betrayal. Meanwhile, Kirsten's reaction shows she's been pushed too far. Matt's obsession with justice is starting to alienate the people closest to him. This hospital scene does more than just check in on Matt's physical condition. It sets the stage for the emotional reckoning that's coming. The cracks in his relationships are widening. Heather may not stick around much longer, especially if she senses Matt's heart is still with Karen. Kirsten is clearly losing patience. She's his partner, but she won't keep playing support if Matt continues to steamroll their dynamic for his crusade. And yet, Matt's urgency is justified. He knows Vanessa's role in Foggy's death might get buried if they don't act fast. His mind is locked onto that one thing, the truth. In next scene, we see Vanessa was especially shaken by the fallout of the shooting. She now knows that Matt is aware of Foggy's murder, and she also knows that Matt is Daredevil. Poindexter wasn't released, and she had planned to tell Fisk everything during the dance, just before the shooting happened. As she gathers her words to finally confess, Fisk calmly tells her that he already knows. This moment reframes everything we've seen about their dynamic. It reveals Fisk is always 10 steps ahead, even of Vanessa. He let her play the game, until now. Vanessa's composure cracks because she finally realizes she may have overstepped. She didn't just manipulate enemies, she may have manipulated him. Their relationship has shifted. It's no longer a partnership of equals. This is Fisk quietly reclaiming control. And most importantly, this moment confirms that all the cards are now on the table. The era of secrets is over, and what's coming next will be driven by the consequences of everything they buried. Next up, Fisk gets updated on Matt's condition, and plants in Buck's ear the idea that the fearless lawyer who took a bullet for the mayor serves them better as a dead hero than an alive vigilante. When Fisk later has Con Ed pull the plug on the whole damn city, in the first moments of mayhem, Buck slips into Matt's hospital room with a syringe, only to find the bed empty. This scene perfectly captures the way Fisk operates, not with brute force, but through suggestion, manipulation, and orchestration. He doesn't tell Buck to kill Matt, he simply nudges him toward it, knowing full well how the dominoes will fall. The blackout is more than a diversion. It's a metaphor. Fisk is casting the city into literal darkness, the same way he's been manipulating it from the shadows. Matt, in his gown, finds his way back home, where Frank Castle is waiting. The gents trade some quite hilarious barbs, and then a wounded Matt suits up for the imminent arrival of some AVTF stooges. The AVTF didn't know what hit them. Daredevil wails on them with non-lethal fury, whereas Frank, well, he is called the Punisher. He slices and dices and uses pistol and snatched shotguns and the edge of a kitchen counter to perforate many of those who wished Matt harm. Matt and Frank then make a hasty exit when the Matt hears a grenade land, leaping from the balcony to a car roof below, barely escaping the blast. This scene reaffirms the unique bond between Matt and Frank, two men who fight for justice, but by very different codes. Matt won't kill, even when he's wounded, even when he has every reason to. Frank sees mercy as a luxury the guilty don't deserve. And yet, despite their clashing methods, they still have each other's backs. That trust, that loyalty, is what makes this moment hit hard. It's not just a team-up, it's a reunion of two broken warriors who respect each other more than they'll ever admit. This is the mid-season turning point, where Daredevil fully re-enters the arena, bloodied, outnumbered, but alive and fighting. It's also a message Fisk's blackout, Buck's hit attempt, the AVTF raid, none of it worked. Matt Murdock is still here, and now Frank Castle is with him. The city may be falling into chaos, but Hell's Kitchen just got its devil, and its Punisher, back, and set the stage for the next season. "Come on, get in," says the men's savior, one Karen Page, pulling up in her sensible sedan. Karen's arrival isn't just a dramatic entrance, it's emotional payoff. Her showing up right after the blast confirms she is the one called Frank to help Matt. Despite everything, the distance, the grief, the complicated history, Karen never stopped watching over Matt. And the fact that she called Frank Castle speaks volumes. Karen has always stood at the strange intersection between Matt's morality and Frank's ruthlessness. She doesn't approve of Frank's methods, but she knows who to call when Matt's life is on the line. It's that gray area, where loyalty trumps judgment, that makes her so essential to this story. This moment serves as the emotional bridge between the chaos and the cause. It clarifies the mystery of who brought Frank back into the fold. It cements Karen's role as more than just an ex-lover or ex-colleague. She's family. It hints at a deeper alliance forming again. Matt, Karen, and even Frank, reconnecting for what's shaping up to be a final war against Vanessa and Fisk. Karen's re-entry also signals that this is no longer just Matt's fight. Laying low at Frank's hideaway, Castle sews up his own bullet wound, while Karen cleans up Matt's. Frank portends to call it quits on helping out, but Karen questions that he will. Leaving Frank behind, Matt and Karen head to where Foggy's files are in storage, and share some tender words and gestures whilst rummaging for the case that got him killed. There is talk of heard heartbeats. This moment is more than just recovery. It's character clarity. Frank pretends to be detached, but Karen sees the truth. He's not just here for Matt. There's a piece of him that still believes in their fight. In them. Karen sits between two men who live by violence but are guided by purpose. Her care isn't just physical, it's emotional. She's the one grounding both of them. This quiet moment makes one thing clear: Frank may walk away, but not for long. This brief pause recenters us. It shows the emotional cost of the battle, and the fragile bonds holding this trio together. It also plants seeds for what's to come, especially Frank's inevitable return to the fight. This is one of the show's most tender moments. Among all the bloodshed and betrayal, this scene reminds us what's at stake. Foggy isn't just a victim. He was their anchor. And in mourning him, Matt and Karen are rediscovering their connection. The heartbeats aren't just clever dialogue, they're emotional signatures. Matt literally feels what words can't always express. This is the emotional heartbeat of the episode, maybe the season. It gives Matt a reason beyond justice to keep going. It gives Karen a reason to stay in the fight. And it gives us, the audience, a much-needed moment of softness before the next storm. Finally, Karen and Matt find what they came for. There is an incendiary motion to dismiss, which Karen and Matt realize would have brought to light the fact that the Red Hook port, where the Fisk do their business, is, dating back at the 1800s, a free port, meaning it is subject to no state or national law. It could be used to launder illegal money without repercussion. It's not fists or bullets that crack this case. It's paperwork. A dusty old legal file with language no one's looked at in decades holds the key to everything. This moment is a tribute to Foggy Nelson, the lawyer who died doing what he always did best, digging into the fine print no one else cared about. This discovery flips the season on its head. It reveals that Fisk's empire isn't just physical, it's legally protected corruption. It gives Matt and Karen the leverage they've been missing, evidence that could bring down the entire operation. And it gives emotional weight to Foggy's death. He wasn't just caught in crossfire, he was close to exposing everything. The stakes just went from personal to national, because now it's not just about justice for Foggy, it's about burning down a criminal empire built on loopholes, lies, and blood. When the Karen and Matt go to stake out the Red Hook port, Karen argues that Matt would be walking into a guaranteed demise. Too many dirty cops, AVTF agents, and he is just one wounded man. Matt gives credence to her observation, declares his resolve to get back their city, though to do so, we're gonna need an army. This isn't the impulsive daredevil of old. This is a man who's finally understanding that he can't do it alone. Matt's words mark a pivotal shift. For the first time in a long while, he's not trying to be the lone savior. He's ready to rally others, to build something bigger, a movement. But who can he call on? Who can stand beside him in this fight? And this brings us to some speculation, given that we know Matt's world is already intertwined with other vigilantes, and that the Defenders series already established a sense of camaraderie between him, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Danny Rand. Could this be setting the stage for their return? This is the call to arms moment. It's a turning point where Matt acknowledges the stakes are too high for just him to handle. This line also sets up the next chapter, a team-up. Matt is no longer just a lone wolf. He's positioning himself to unite the fractured vigilante world of New York City. The Defenders were never meant to be just a one-off. With Fisk's empire growing, the corruption spreading, and the city hanging in the balance, it makes sense that Matt would reach out to old allies. They have history together, after all. And when it comes to taking down a crime kingpin, a strong united front is exactly what Matt will need. Could the Defenders reunite for a battle against Fisk's New York? With a looming civil war in the streets of Hell's Kitchen, the pieces are in place for the squad to assemble once again. Meanwhile, Frank headed out to confront the AVTF Mano a Many and got beaten to within an inch of his life. The only reason he was spared was because of his hero status to the dirty cops, as the OG Punisher. Frank has no interest in being anyone's idol, though, let alone to anyone who can possibly know his pain, his loss. So he invites them to beat him some more. This moment reveals how completely alone Frank feels. He's not just fighting the AVTF, he's fighting what they represent. A world that's glamorized violence but lost all meaning behind it. To them, he's just a myth, a symbol. To Frank, he's a man who lost everything, and he'll never let anyone forget that. This isn't just a beatdown, it's Frank Castle rejecting the legacy they've written for him. Frank Castle has never wanted to be a hero, not in the traditional sense, and definitely not to dirty cops and thugs who've never sacrificed a damn thing. This scene shows us the difference between myth and man, between violence for power and violence born from grief and justice. He's broken, physically and emotionally, but his moral compass is still intact, no matter how twisted the world around him gets. This is the moment where Frank is stripped of armor, ego, and reputation, and what's left is raw, defiant humanity. Fisk, during the blackout, first had Daniel Blake leverage the city council members into supporting the mayor's Safer Streets initiative. Fisk himself put the screws to Commissioner Gallo, whom Sheila revealed to have plans to take his case against Fisk to Albany the next morning. Before a small crowd of Gallo's rank-and-file officers, Fisk placed the Comish's melon between his meaty palms, squeezed, and murdered in front of them, all the AVTF cops to see. This is Fisk's coronation by blood. He doesn't need a title. He doesn't need the mayor's office. What he needs, and now has, is control. And he's using the oldest currency in the world, fear. By killing the commissioner in front of his own men, Fisk sends a message: I am above the law. You answer to me, or you end up like him. He isn't hiding in the shadows anymore. He's stepping into the light and making sure everyone's too afraid to look him in the eye. This isn't just a show of violence. It's a turning point for New York. The city just watched its last internal check and balance die. It shows how Fisk's political maneuvers are now backed by brute force. It elevates him from criminal mastermind to dictator in a suit, one who no longer needs masks, lies, or middlemen. This is the birth of the true Kingpin. He's not hiding behind Vanessa. He's not behind bars. He's not playing games. In the heart of a blackout, Wilson Fisk just turned out the lights on justice itself. Come morning, Fisk announced to the city his Safer Streets plan, which involves an 8 p.m. curfew and zero tolerance for vigilantes. He also got Heather to be his new commissioner on mental health. The Safer Streets plan is nothing more than martial law in disguise. Curfews, suppression of vigilantes, media spin, public safety rebranded as state-sanctioned oppression. But Fisk is smart. He knows he can't rule with brute force alone. He needs faces the public trusts. That's where Heather comes in. By placing her in a mental health leadership role, he's weaponizing compassion. She's not just a pawn, she's a symbol to the public proof that Fisk cares about the city's emotional well-being. Matt doesn't know it yet, but it's going to be gut punch for him as she's now part of the system he's trying to tear down. Whether she knows the full extent of Fisk's manipulations or not, her involvement is deeply personal. Matt, meanwhile, confessed to Karen how he had let the darkness seep into him, such as when he nearly killed Poindexter. But now he was ready to do right, and let the light back in. Karen then ushered Daredevil out of the back room at Josie's, where he was met by the seed of a small army, Josie, Cherry, and some good cops included. But no Jessica Jones or Luke Cage or Danny Rand. Yet, Matt's confession to Karen isn't just personal, it's a turning point. For the first time in a long while, he's not trying to save the city alone. He's letting people in, emotionally and tactically. And that's why this moment matters. The man who once pushed Karen and Foggy away is now standing shoulder to shoulder with allies, not just as Daredevil, but as Matt Murdock, the man who still believes this city is worth saving. As Matt surveys his small band of rebels, there's a glaring absence. No Jessica Jones, no Luke Cage, no Danny Rand. The other defenders are nowhere to be found yet. But with the city under siege, and Fisk now ruling with open fists and false smiles, the door is wide open. They might just be what turns this street-level rebellion into a real resistance. So while Matt walks into battle with the beginnings of an army, the defenders could still rise, and when they do, Hell's Kitchen won't stand alone. There is a mid-credits scene as well. It took us back to the underbelly of the Red Hook port, where Fisk has jailed up the swordsman, Frank Castle, and other powerful peeps who oppose him. Frank chatted up an AVTF agent who also hails from New Jersey, and duped the kid into shaking his hand through the opening in his cage. And that was a mistake. That agent won't be making a second time. It confirms that Fisk is building his own version of Arkham, a fortress where he stashes threats he can't control. It shows that Frank is still dangerous, even in chains, and he's not out of the game, just waiting for the right moment. And it implies there are others, other-powered or elite players, who might still rise before this is over. Could the swordsman become a key part of a resistance from within? Will Frank turn this dungeon into a prison break waiting to happen? And how far does Fisk's underground empire actually go? This mid-credit moment isn't just an epilogue, it's a promise. So, with Daredevil Born Again, Season 1 wrapped up, and Fisk's plan in full swing, what does the future hold for Hell's Kitchen? Bullseye as the main villain in Season 2 is a game-changer. And with Frank Castle returning, the stakes just got higher. But how will Matt deal with all of this? Will he take down Fisk, or will the rise of Bullseye and Frank's deadly methods push Matt to his breaking point? And what about those mysterious alliances? Could we see more heroes rise to challenge Fisk? Drop your predictions and theories in the comments below. I want to hear what you think is coming next. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an update. Until next time, stay fearless.